Hey, how's it going? Hey, man. Hey, the big dirty. Hey, I'm just trying out something today. Just let me know if you can hear everything properly and all that kind of stuff. I'm just doing something a little bit different here because I just want to find out how to do this whole go live thing. So once in a while, if I don't have time to edit, it might be easier for me to actually just jump on here and yeah, exactly. I'm huge. I'm huge in front of the camera. Okay, the audio's good. Thanks, guys. Yeah. So one thing I wanted to talk about, yeah, thanks, Joseph. I've seen a lot of your content, your comments and stuff. So I really appreciate you guys really tuning in because a lot of people don't understand how much time it really takes to really make a lot of these videos and the editing that I'm doing and all the music production and stuff. It takes me forever, but I love doing it because, you know, I get a chance to meet some of you guys out there that are fellow warriors. I like to prefer to call you guys, but intelligent warriors, you know, because you're making decisions based on your training, based on some sort of common sense, you know. So there are a few guys out there on YouTube that are actually pretty good. I do sometimes stalk a few YouTubers out there, you know, just trying to see who's kind of resonating with me. And I find that the guys that have been spending 20 or 30 years in this game seem to resonate with what I'm saying. So yeah, so I'm just learning how to use this live thing right now. But yeah, I got that other channel. The other channel is the meditation channel, and that's really the most important channel that I produce. And some people kind of mistake it. They think it has to do with religion or something. I'm not religious or anything, but I'm very practical. And there is a science inside you that is quite mystical. And you learn it as a bodybuilder. As you work out, you are so much more aware. If you've spent 5 years, 10 years training, you actually are more aware of your body in a certain way, and you kind of take it for granted. But if you can remember back when you first started training, you could realize that, oh my God, I was not very aware. You know, I remember when I used to train legs, I used to notice that I had a hard time feeling the different subtleties in the body and finding that coordination. And through this growth in your own awareness, you start to find a greater connection to your body and a greater ability to be able to find out what training program works for you or not. So that's why it's very hard for me to give exact answers. A lot of times on my YouTube channel, that's been the hardest thing because people want exact answers. They say, Jason, I just want a format and I want you to tell me exactly what to do and what exactly works for me. And that's kind of the opposite of what I'm teaching. But at the same time, there are some general tendencies out there. There are some general rules, such as a body part usually tends to recover in a period of 24 to, you know, beyond 72 hours. So I just had a guy get really mad in the comments. He was like, another useless video. You didn't tell me exactly what to do. And I'm like, well, because every time I say something that is working great for one person, say, for instance, you got to do a body part once every 72 hours. Because that was the one thing that I learned a long time ago. I was like, okay, I have to train a body part once every 72 hours. That's it. I cannot train a body part more often than that. Otherwise, I'm overtraining, right? And that worked well for me. I trained a body part. I'd blast it for 12 or 15 sets, and then I wouldn't train it for 3 days, or maybe take a day off. Maybe it was 4 days, and then I would hit it again, and that worked fine. And then when I went to the 2-day split, I found, oh, there was other advantages to this, but I'd have to do less volume in order to be recovered by the time I came back around to that body part again. So the neat part is that when I started to embrace the fact that I could play with this, kind of like an artist, I could play with the amount of sets or amount of weight I'm using depending on the frequency, and I will have a different flavor to my training, and it will cause me to grow in a slightly different way. It doesn't mean one training is better than the other. It means that I'm just hitting different muscle groups, different body parts, different muscle fibers, you could say. You know, one type of training program might really accentuate the coordination, and I learned this really a lot in hockey. When I was playing hockey, and anybody out there that ice skates and stuff, you know it's a really highly coordinated sport. You need to coordinate constantly, be really in tune with the edge on the ice and the stick handling and the coordination and everything. And the more you do it, the more tuned in you get, and then the more effort you can exert. So the more horsepower is actually getting to the ice, so you get actually faster in your skating. You hold more of your speed by edging because you're not losing your coordination. You're right on. It's like you're on a railway track. You don't lose your power, right? So the same thing happens with training. A lot of times there's wasted energy that goes all over the place if you're not coordinated. Okay, Joseph, I'm reading your comment here. I find my chest needs more than 3 to recover. Okay, even on low volume. Okay, see, this is the thing. This is why I don't give exact advice, because I've found that the beautiful thing is that there's a lot of diversity in this world, and some people, you train them with 5 or 10 sets for a body part, they need a good 3 or 4 days to recover. And even if you train them 5 sets for a body part, they might need 3 days to recover. So I tend to start people on programs. Like the programs on my website I take this into consideration. I try to be conservative with the reps and conservative with what exercises I pick in the programs because I don't want a person to overtrain. So say a person is a person that tends to overtrain really easily, I don't want to overtrain them. So ultimately, you have to start with a template, but then find out if that's really the best thing for you. Now, let me just take a look at the comments here because they're disappearing as they come up, so just bear with me here as I... okay, I'm just going to see here. All right. Okay. Yeah, okay, cool. Let me just take a look here. Sorry guys. I'm still learning this whole viewing thing. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's right, Big Dirty and Sim. Greetings from Germany, man. How you doing? Do I use visualization? And, okay, so Mitch, Benny, do I use visualization? Yes, I do. I use... Anytime you sit in your body and you're connecting and you're saying, okay, I want to make sure I don't snap something up, you're probably visualizing a little bit before you get into the exercise because you're saying, okay, I want to make sure I'm coordinated. I want to make sure I'm tuned in. I'm actually feeling my muscles as I train. So before I squat, I'm hypersensitive. I'm actually feeling into my lower back, my hips, my knees, everything to make sure that everything is in tune, right? And that is how I make the decision whether I should go heavier or lighter or whether I'm doing more sets or less sets, right? Hey, Ireland, right on. Yeah, yeah. So the thing is that I have to see that you guys are making such good comments. I gotta try and find these. I don't know why I'm, yeah, anyway. Okay, so I'm seeing all the messages here. All right, cool. Yeah, that's the thing. Okay, Robo Warrior, how much strength is actual neural adaptation? That's true. When you get coordinated, you do gain a lot of strength. So sometimes it's not necessarily muscular strength. It's just that you are more coordinated in firing the muscles. You're more efficient, right? So I've seen some really strong guys can't bench press at all, but they're stronger than another guy that might be able to bench press more than them because the person bench pressing is used to that, right? So whatever you're used to, you get more coordinated with. Now with that coordination, your body will start to adapt. As you use that strength over time, you start to put on muscle mass. You start to actually put on muscle from that, right? So, hey, Poland, right on. Mitch, how you doing? So the thing is, as you put on muscle mass from using the strength repeatedly, that's really what happens. But yeah, first you have to build the telephone wires to the muscle. That's the neural adaptation. And then from there, you're firing more of those muscles, and then the muscles adapt and grow. And how you do this or how you manage this symphony is up to you, whether you train frequently or don't train as frequently. But I found frequent training was a really good way to get that neural adaptation, you see? So then I could use higher amounts of weight for higher reps because the coordination was there. And then from that, I started to grow more muscle. But it's not always just because of the way the muscle fiber or the tissue breakdown happens. Sometimes it's just that when I was hitting a muscle group once a week, I was just so uncoordinated by the time I hit it, I wasn't actually getting a real sweet spot when it comes down to really being able to lift heavy weight, right? So that's really the premise of what I do with my training. But I do like to mess around with volume, and sometimes I do take an extra day off. This week I've put up a video every second day because we're in the middle of a move. We're in the middle of actually moving to a place that's closer to a lake. There's going to be a beach there, so I can do some photo shoots and some video on the beach, so it might be cool for that. I'll be moving it's about an hour drive from here where I live now, and I'll be moving to another gym. And those of you guys that saw the collaboration with me and Murph's gym, I was training out there one time with Kyle Murphy. He's a WNBF pro bodybuilder, and basically he's basically super nice guy. There's a lot of good people in that gym, and I think it'll be a great place to also for me to harass people. That's honestly what I do. So I think I've pissed off enough people at the gym that I'm at now, so I got to go to a new gym. So yeah, but I have a good time with that. So I know you guys enjoy watching me harass some of the members and some of the guys that I've become good friends with. So it's almost like I guess a litmus test. I test people whether they have a sense of humor or not. If they don't, then I guess we don't get along. Okay, so Flash Earl here. Okay, so yeah, you know, the motivation comes and goes, and I'm just gonna say this, okay? I haven't made a video on this, but there is astrological weather. I'm not gonna, I'm not trying to be one of those kind of strange tarot card readers here, but what I'm saying is, every policeman on this planet, and every firefighter, and every ambulance driver knows when it's a full moon, and there's a reason, because there's a larger amount of insanity during that time, and after all the tides of the planet are actually governed by that. So if you just can take that archetypal type of thinking into consideration, if that helps you accept the fact that you just have different types of ebbs and flows in the body, and sometimes your body is in more of a recovery mode, and sometimes your body is in more of an action mode. And if you can take that into consideration when you are training, then you won't try to push through the wrong times. Sometimes your body's shut down for a reason, right? Yeah, squatting 405 raw, okay. You can lose fat. Okay, so, all right. I'm definitely going to have to change my format here so that way I can see your guys' stuff. Okay, do you think that people at higher body fat levels can lose fat and gain muscle at the same time, even if they're at intermediate level, considering the fact that they have enough stored calories? Yes, I did a video on this. Can you lose fat and gain muscle at the same time? Yes, you can, especially when you're at a higher body fat level. The reason why is because you just have to basically take into consideration that you have to feed yourself the food that feeds muscle, but not the fat stores, right? So higher amount of protein, higher amount of I guess you could say, it's not necessarily calories, but it's about shifting the calories around. So say you have a certain amount of calories, and I don't count calories, but say this is your archetype, so let's just speak this language right now. Say you have a certain amount of calories that helps you maintain your body fat level. What you would do is that you would shift the percentage of them to a higher amount of protein, and you would change the carbohydrate choices to a lower glycemic type of carb, and you know, you would lower that down a little bit of that energy, but through finding that right combination, you will lose some body fat, and you may put on some strength and some muscle because of it. I've seen a guy at the gym, actually, he's on like a keto diet, and he actually put on muscle, he's putting on weight. So that's pretty rare, but it can happen. So basically there are certain foods that I find that will help you put on body fat, and then certain foods that will help you put on muscle. And if you just cut back on the foods that are so calorie dense from energy, you know, like the saturated and deep fried fats and trans fats, all this kind of stuff, and the sugars and things, and then you replace them with protein, you can find that spot to a point where you put on muscle and you lose some fat, right? Yeah, buckwheat. I don't know if buckwheat works for me. I'm too native, I think, but I'm not much of a starch guy. Yeah, okay, yeah, Big Dirty. Okay, same thing happened to me on keto, although it's not easy. Yeah, that's right. It's just a matter of finding what's right for you. But okay, I'm just going to scroll through here just so I'm not ignoring any of you guys. Okay, so Robo Warrior, you're saying your bulk is backfired and you're super strong now, but you're getting okay. Let's see, I just got to scroll through here. Sorry. Getting high protein, slow burning carbs. Yeah. So high protein and slower burning carbs for sure. And you might not need as much carbs as you think, you know? Yeah. And Maychek, well, Glara, I can't pronounce your name. I'm sorry, I don't want to insult you by pronouncing your name wrong. Maychek, if that's how you pronounce it. Sorry, the comments keep disappearing, so I have to keep on tapping on your guys' face. So, okay. So Maychek, I'm going to get back to you here. Okay. Continue on astral weather. Okay, all right. Okay, this is just weird talk. I know it's weird talk. A lot of people are going to think it's weird, but this is what I have discovered this through deep meditation and through working with different mantras and different types of energy, okay? The bottom line is when Mars is active, if you look at a chart, there's a way of testing whether Mars is active or not, and Mars has to do with physical life force and energy and willpower. When Mars is active, you will notice that you have more motivation and willpower to go to the gym. But if Mars is retrograde, you will notice that all of a sudden you feel like you're more in a resting stage. You don't really feel that motivated. It's really hard to get you going. And then you will have a tendency more for injury during that time. I know this sounds weird. I never thought this crap was even possible before. But when I started researching this 12 years ago and then started looking at the correlation between what was going on in the astrology and what was going on with my workouts, I started to notice that there was a correlation. There was definitely a strong link, okay? So I know this sounds weird, so I'm not going to get into it too much because I'll turn a bunch of people off my workout channel that think I'm too weird. But this is why I say the answer to everything is to listen to your body. You don't have to believe in anything, but just listen to your body so that way you're not making decisions to push through stuff that is not necessarily needed to push through. Like there's lots of times where I wanted to lift the 130-pound dumbbells at the gym and say, okay, this is what I'm going to lift today. And I went in with that plan, and then I go in there and I'm like, oh, I'm a little tight, or this pec feels tight, or this feels just kind of awkward, or I'm not getting a good pump from it. It just feels like I'm straining for the sake of nothing. And it almost feels like you're squeezing an empty balloon. You know, your muscles just feel flat that day. And then I just won't train like that. I'll just train lighter. I'll just squeeze and just work with what my body wants to do, and whatever actually helps build more blood in the area, build more of a pump, and build more motivation, right? So yeah, that's why my message mainly is just listen to the body, learn how to deepen that. That's the most important thing. That'll always give you the answer to everything, right? Okay, you guys are coming in like crazy with the things. So I don't know if you guys know how this live stuff works either, right? There's like a super chat type thing. So if you want your comment to stay really high, then there's like the super chat thing you can access. But anyway, that's on the side, I think. Okay, I'll just have to look at the comments, okay? Okay. Okay, so Evren Chinarly, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. While working out your back, your rhomboid major and minor muscles kind of hurt like a needle, and it feels like there's a muscle knot. Okay, so if you're always feeling like that, that most likely is a muscle knot or a trigger point of some sort, or your back might be out of place, or one of your ribs, okay? A number of things might be happening here. So I would recommend massage therapy. I always recommend massage therapy, but there are also naturopaths out there that do neural therapy where they go in with an acupuncture needle because they can get to the deeper muscle tissue, and it's almost like they reset it by sticking the needle right into that muscle. It goes spasm, and then it relaxes and resets the system, and then the spine or the rib can go back in place as well. So a lot of times people go to chiropractors, but they will forget about the muscle. And the muscle, it's like the chicken or the egg, right? If the muscle is spasmed, it can pull the spine out of place or it can pull the rib out of place, right? So if that's happening, then ultimately you're going to have a hard time. You know, even if the chiropractor puts the rib or the spine back in place, the muscle's going to pull it out again, right? So you want to address the underlying issue. And the underlying issue a lot of times is some sort of muscle dysfunction. So going to a massage therapist or something will help restore blood flow, and also it's like flicking a breaker switch. It'll help actually reset the information that's going into that muscle. So that may help you, right? Okay. Let me just hear. I'm going to look at the comments here. I think hitting all angles, Flash, Errol, the flash, I'm going to call you, the flash. Okay, so hitting all angles is important. The reason why is because sometimes you can overtrain one angle and then undertrain another, and I find that hitting from different angles helps you get a greater synergistic effect in muscle growth. And a lot of times if you just hit one angle over and over again, it's kind of like, I don't know, it's like painting the same room in your house over and over again. It doesn't add to the overall beauty of the house, right? So you want to hit the other angles. And sometimes I've found, like, for instance, I've done like flat bench every workout for workouts like months on end. And then one day I'll go and do inclines, and then I'll come back and do flat bench, and then my flat bench goes up, right? So sometimes by hitting that different angle, you shock the system or give one part of the system some recovery time. And when you come back, you're stronger and better than ever, right? But you've still trained and then worked on a weak link. So as they say, you can only be as strong as your weakest link. So you do want to address the other weak links. Now, some people say, they misinterpret what a weak link is. Some people think a weak link is just you trying to overstretch the joints, and I don't agree with that. But a weak link for sure can be an angle, 100%. Yeah, Robo Warrior, he says, do you think you'll hold ourselves back from doing our max? Because I've never held myself back, Robo Warrior, just so you know. I've never held myself back. I've actually pushed hard. I've done 6 plates for squats. I've pushed stupidly hard. I found out where stupid goes. That's how I have this advice for you now. Okay, so I'm not like one of those weak-minded sort of victim type people, right? So I was never like that, just so you know. So I'm not sharing this advice because I'm some sort of weak person. I mean, if you want to look at my knuckles, you'll see that, you know, I know that the exposure's not good, but I had a lot of fights in my life. I've been through the rough times. Let's put it this way. I've taken that whole Mars alpha man thing to a really high level, and I was a super asshole, which is probably why I get a lot of hate on YouTube now, because now I'm a nice guy, and now the hordes are coming back to get me. But the bottom line is that I pushed myself through times where I shouldn't have, and because of it, yeah, I have snapped some things, and that's how I learned. I learned, where the limits of the body, and that's the only way to know, right? You have to push to know where that limit is. But there are ways to hedge your bets or to do it conservatively, and that's why I'm teaching you how to listen to your body. It doesn't mean just go meekly into the night and cuddle up in a corner of your house and go happy place, right? I'm basically just saying that there are subtle signs that your body's giving you that you can learn how to read, and then at the same time still push hard, but push hard with a strategy instead of just pushing hard when your body's clearly telling you not to. Kind of like what happened to Eric Wong in Ireland, where he pushed and he knew that he felt tight, and he knew that it wasn't right from the touch his chest that day. He just felt like it was the wrong thing, right? So, well, thanks for sharing that, Joseph. Yeah. Well, okay, one thing that happened to me. Yeah, well, okay. I mean, it depends on the person. I wasn't a total asshole, Harut, but I mean, everybody has asshole moments. I mean, it's part of learning, right? So, but anyway, you guys are your comments are coming in like fast right now, so I'm gonna basically just get back to here. There was one up here that I got to answer here. Okay. Okay, so Evren, what did I snap and how did it affect my bodybuilding? Well, when I was first training when I was 18 years old, my dad was a powerlifter. A lot of people don't know that. And he knew one way and one way only, and that was strain your ass off, and that's how you get stronger. And my dad was effing strong. Like, he could deadlift, 600 pounds at 160 pound body weight. He was a strong dude. Like, he had records and everything, and I grew up in the gym when I was in diapers, in the gym, shit my pants and whatever with my dad as he was training with squats and deadlifts. So I was around it my whole life. But when I wanted to powerlift and bodybuild, like, I started lifting weights when 14 because I was getting dragged across lunch tables and bullied and all that. So I was like, okay, that's it, enough of this shit. I'm gonna conquer the world, right? I'm kind of pissed. So I started for that, and I made a video on that, why I started training. But anyway, when I started to do deadlifts, my dad never told me anything about keeping a flat back, and there was no internet. There was no, even the bodybuilding magazines didn't really teach you any of this kind of stuff. So when I started deadlifting, I was rounding my back, and what happened was I was doing 315 for reps one day. I was 19 years old, and all of a sudden, pop, right? I felt this pop in my back, and it took me about 5 years to recover from that because I actually herniated a disc, and one doctor said I'll have to wear a back brace for the rest of my life if I want to train or lift weights. And one doctor put me on anti-inflammatories, which totally messed up my stomach for a period of time. So I learned a lot of things from that whole experience, right? And I basically learned that, first of all, deadlifts on the floor weren't the greatest thing for me, but because I did the double, what do you call it, like the double hit combo, in the Street Fighter or something, or Killer Instinct video game, I did the double hit combo. I did the rounded back as well as deadlift from the floor, which wasn't the best thing for me. Plus, I was doing highly intense cardio through kicking and punching and karate at the time. So what happened was I was wearing down the stabilizer of my lower back. I wasn't using my stabilizers, and at the same time I was rounding it and lifting, maximum poundages for me at that age. And yeah, that's how I herniated my disc in my back. So I learned proper form first and foremost. That has to be maintained. And what is that? And through experimentation, I learned what proper form for lower back was, right? And yeah, that injury was a pretty bad one. So anyway, I learned a lot from that. Okay. So I'm trying to answer everybody's comments, but because I'm on a phone here, it's really hard to see them. So just forgive me if I'm not. Oh, that's Jamie. Okay, yeah. So, okay. Okay, yeah, Shakti Shaker. Screw you, I know who you are, so I'm going to get you when I see you. So, anyway, easy as a guy, how can you get fulfillment from bodybuilding? Well, I don't think you can get fulfillment directly from bodybuilding. You have to get fulfillment from yourself, and bodybuilding can be an emanation of that. But you don't have to look at bodybuilding as fulfillment, because bodybuilding will drive you nuts. Because the problem is that there's always another level to improve. And if you have a way of seeing that in a positive way, like enjoying the path itself, then it can be fulfilling. But if you're looking at it, like I know a couple kids at the gym and stuff, and they're always obsessing and looking at themselves and saying, oh, I'm nothing, I'm such a piece of crap because I don't have abs, or my arms aren't big enough and all that. Your bodybuilding path can be very destructive. It can actually make you go insane. It can be a very bad thing. So what you want to do is always look at how can you make bodybuilding improve your life? How can you use it to improve your life? And that's about relationship with your body, relationship with the enjoyment of the blood flowing through the body. I've seen some guys, they get massive injuries or some sort of thing happens in their life where they can't train, and then you put them in the gym and they're doing light weights and they probably look the worst they've ever looked, but they are happy. They have a smile on their face because they're just enjoying the moment, enjoying that, using it as a meditation. And I think if you can use your training like that, that's a way of making it fulfilling. That's a way that it really adds to your life. But if you look at it as a way of seeing what you're not, and you're comparing yourself to somebody else or something, if that comparing is causing you emotional pain, then you need to discard that. You need to let that go. Because honestly, whether you have muscles or not doesn't make you a better human being. It doesn't make you a bigger deal, It's just that you have different clothing on right now. But it has nothing to do with whether you have more value, right? And I think a lot of people mix that up. And I think that's why a lot of times some people come to my channel and they will misinterpret sometimes the visuals and stuff that I'm doing. Like I might pose or something and I'm just trying to show, hey, I'm a bodybuilding channel. And then they might think that basically I'm a jerk because I'm posing, and then they automatically assume that I'm drawing a line in the sand, that I'm better than them and somehow, and then of course they go on the attack, and that's not at all the case. In my life, a long time ago, when I was at the peak of my bodybuilding career and natural bodybuilding, which means nothing to most people because, you know, sure, I won some trophies, but who gave a shit about it really? Nobody cared really. And I remember looking in the mirror one day and I said, you know, I give this all up. I give it all up just to be happy, because I wasn't happy at that time in my life, because a physique won't make you happy. Happiness has to come from within, right? But then at that point you can play, and having muscles can help you play in another way, you know? So, okay, so I'm gonna answer a few questions. I was rambling on like an old guy there, so you probably, shut up, Jason, just answer my effing question, right? So, how long, I would say, I started training when I was 14, and I was probably at 85% of what I could achieve in about 8 years to 10 years of training. That's pretty safe to say. You know, about 10 years of training, 14 to 24, and that was 10 years of training. For some people, it might be 4 years of training. Other people, it might be longer. You also have to remember, I didn't have as much information back then on training. My diet wasn't in check for the first 4, 5, 6 years. So all these different factors, you guys have this blessing of education. Like for instance, just seeing somebody like me train, that would have been like, honestly, I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but when I was a kid, if I would have saw somebody that was competing and I could actually watch them on video train and everything, I would have been so excited. It would have been like watching cartoons. I would have been excited just to see that, because that would have showed me what success looks like, or what I wanted to achieve. So if I wanted to be able to, you know, lift 300 pounds, and I would see this happen over and over, and I'd see how this person did it. And by absorbing that, that is definitely short-tracked your guys' path much more than my own. So you may be able to achieve your goals at a much faster rate than I did, because you do have much more information, as well as access to people like myself and other people that are sharing their experience with you and say, hey, this is what worked. And they're being honest about it, and there you can use all these different techniques in your own training, right? So okay, let me see here. Okay, so Robo Warrior, controlled fasting for weight loss and mental health. See, the thing is this, there's always another trend, and every trend, it probably has some validity. But I don't have much experience with fasting myself, except for accidental fasting, which was shitty eating back in the day. So, but yeah, there's some research that supports it. I don't know if long-term is the best way to put on muscle mass, as much as some of the research is saying, yeah, the hormone levels are positively affected or something. I notice that I put on muscle mass much more when I really pay attention to eating regularly. But yeah, meditation and introspection, knowing yourself is very important, and understanding the mechanics of what's going on inside you. A lot of people think that they are their own emotions and that they are their own thoughts. And what a lot of people don't realize is that they are picking up thoughts all the time. You are programmed with a lot of the thoughts. I mean, they're just a bunch of opinions that have come to you that are affecting your mental health and affecting your emotional state. But if you know that you're not your thoughts, and that you are not your emotions, and that there's a part of you that is always there, that part that's permanent, that enables you to be extremely stable and to make very sober and surgical decisions about what you do in your life and how you train and all that. You know, you're not making decisions based on a democracy all the time. And when a democracy comes from emotional pain, it's never going to lead to a good place, right? We all know the person that's a super Lex Luthor or something like that. They're just in emotional pain or insecurity, and they're just running around just beating on people because of it, right? So 6 times a day. Okay, is it true that you should eat 6 times a day? I've seen guys eat 8 times a day. I've seen guys eat 4 times a day, but massive amounts of calories. It just, I don't know if there's any has to, okay? That's why what I would say is start with the template, start with eating 5 meals a day. I found that when you're on a lower fat diet, or you're on a lower calorie diet where you're not eating foods that sustain you for long periods of time. So say for instance, you're eating bacon and eggs and pancakes in the morning. That meal is going to sustain you for a lot longer period of time as far as energy goes, okay? Because it's a lot more fat, and fat is slow burning, okay? Plus you've got the carbs, plus you've got probably some sugar from your coffee or whatever else you're eating, and you've got the protein. So this is going to sustain you for a long period of time, but muscles grow mainly from carbohydrates and protein, right? And then the fat is what your body makes hormones out of and does all that kind of stuff. But how much fat do you really need? That's a question, right? So a lot of bodybuilders, what they did, they went on lower fat diets, and then they'd eat the carbs and the protein. Now, of course, that would not sustain them as long. So that's why they'd have to eat more frequently, right? Always be feeding the body the carbs and the protein, carbs and protein, carbs and protein. So this is one of the reasons why more frequent eating was necessary with that type of diet. Now, if you're just eating everything under the sun, you might not have to. Maybe you eat 3 times, 4 times a day, but your food is like more of a stable burn because there's just so many saturated fat calories in there and all that kind of stuff. That type of eating for me, though, when I ate too much saturated fat, I found that I was bloated when I went to the gym. I found that I would, be thrown up in a bucket after doing a set of squats. Like I just couldn't process the food properly. And because a lot of fats, there's different quality of fats, right? Deep fried fat is obviously different than olive oil fat or different than fish fat. All these different fats are totally different. You'll feel totally different on them. But if I just ate whatever random bag of Doritos and McDonald's or something like that, my God, it would be a mess. When I go to the gym, I'm just like, I learned that the hard way. It's like, I learned it. This is the funny thing. It happened about 10 times before I put 2 and 2 together. I'm like, oh, wait a second. It's probably that McDonald's Big Mac that I'm having before I go do squats, right? So yeah, I stopped eating that kind of stuff. And as soon as I started eating more protein and carbs and lowering the fat down, I found I had more stable levels for the gym and better energy, and I could push harder. Now, and my breath wasn't the weak link either. It's not like I was struggling to digest the food. I was not, and trying to get through that. I was actually able to just facilitate the energy and push and basically get a better pump, right? So all these signs will come to you. You'll get a better pump. You'll get less out of breath. You'll be able to push harder. And these are the things to pay attention to, and that's how you adjust your diet, right? I've mixed raw eggs in my shakes from here and there, and and I never died from it. I almost died from some chicken at Red Robin one time, but I never died from. I went to this restaurant and somebody must have left the stuff out that one time, and that almost killed me. But raw eggs never did. So more fat, see that's the thing, more fat, people think fat and testosterone automatically go together, and yes they do, but at the same time, how much, right? There's a point to where more is not always better, and that's one thing that in the bodybuilding realm, people get really messed up with. Enough is the right, but too much just is overkill, and then you just end up putting on a bunch of body fat. And you have to also ask yourself, is adding that fat to your diet increasing your energy in the gym or not? So basically you have to listen to your body. So I would say try an experiment. Try 1 week where you eat a certain way and document it, write it down if you need to. And then the next week purposely eat a different way. And I think as long as you have enough protein, you're not going to lose your muscle tissue. You're going to be fine. So don't be afraid of losing muscle tissue. So many guys are afraid. They're like, and I was like this. I would train one way and I'd be like so afraid of changing the way I train, and I wouldn't change it. And then I would basically get stuck in a rut because of it, because maybe one way of training worked well for a period of time, but then another way of training would hit other parts, other weak links in my physique, right? So it's good to mix things up also with your nutrition. So that's why you'll see me go low carb sometimes. And then other times, you'll see me do low fat sometimes, right? So I'll go back and forth. But the general rule I've stuck to is I don't have fat and carbs high at the same time. I find that putting those two together in the same meal, it's harder for me to digest, right? And if I do have fat and say I have some carbs, say I have a rice meal or potatoes or something during the day or something like that, then later on at night, I may lower those carbs down, but then I'll have some avocado or some fat and protein together, right? But I won't have carbs there at the same time, right? Okay, let me just take a look here. Yeah, Patrick, that's right. Certain blood types might actually process food different. That's another thing you have to take into consideration, right? And no G monkey, I never counted calories because I just never felt the need. I just know that two potatoes more than one potato, and then that's how I basically figure it out, right? Hungry? Okay, I need to eat something. Okay, what can I get away with? And so there'd be certain food that I would basically certain food that I knew that I could eat unlimited amounts of and not get fatter, and then other foods I knew that I had to portion, like carbs and fats, right? Are high reps better for legs? I did a video on this. Please watch that video, okay? You guys, a lot of people ask me a lot of questions, but they don't actually look at the videos. If you actually just put in that magnifying glass down below, like, do high reps work better for legs than upper body? Or should you do different rep ranges for legs? And there's some kid crying out there, so that's not, I don't have a pet monkey in here or something, so just so you know. But yeah, just punch in the name of the title of the video and you can actually find it. But I found that, I don't know if high reps work necessarily better for legs, but I definitely know that it's safer because you're using a lot of lower back and everything, right? But I find that I stick to 20 reps, usually 10 to 20 reps. And sometimes I'll do higher than that for legs. But some people, they notice that 6 reps is good. And it also depends on your range of motion. Like guys that are squatting right to the floor, butt to the floor, you know, a 6 rep set is probably equivalent to my 15 rep set because my 15 reps are shorter than theirs, right? So it's more about time under tension. But again, you'll have to experiment with this. I don't know if there's really an exact answer on the high reps for upper body or low reps for lower body or whatever, you know, but check out the video. I do explain what I do and why I do it in that video. So that would be probably a faster way to doing it because I did it kind of organized there. Let me see here. I don't take ginseng, Andrew. I take nettle infusion from time to time because it's healthy. And we all know how hard it is to kill a weed, right? You put weeds in your garden, it's just impossible to kill those bastards, right? And but nettle infusion is actually an unbelievable pre-workout. If you look up how to do this, and I did a video on this thing, nettle infusion, it's amazing. Like as soon as you drink it, you notice that you have more blood flow and energy. It's like Mars in an infusion, and it's not a tea. Tea is not the same. Okay, so look up how to make an infusion. I do show you in the video. An infusion is totally different, okay? So some guys say, hey, so if I have nettle tea, it's the same thing. No, it's not. It won't have the same effect. But if you drink a nettle infusion, I guarantee you will feel something. When you drink that within about 15 minutes, and it's not a caffeine thing, it's a very nourishing, healthy type of energy, right? Slow burning, right? Okay, I never take glucosamine, and creatine I don't take because it bloats me up too much and I can't tell whether I'm fat or not and whether I've eaten the wrong foods. Retaining muscle fullness while on a cut, stable blood sugar will help with that. Also not going too low in calories on your cut. That's the other thing because I've done that to myself too. Even recently, you know, I flattened out too much. That's why I started adding some carbs. If you're flattening out too much, that means you need to probably up the carbs a bit. Flattening out for a day or two, not so bad. But if you're flattening out all the time, then that means that you might be going a little bit too low. So you're burning a little bit of protein from your muscle tissue and you don't want to do that. So I find it's more about slow burning, right? That's why, you know, I've been cutting or kind of semi-cutting for about 6 months now, and my physique, if you look back at my videos, you can see my physique changing slowly but surely, right? But if you try to cut all in a period of 4 weeks or you know 6 weeks or 8 weeks, it's there's a larger risk. Okay, there's a larger risk of losing muscle mass depending on what kind of body fat level you're at. So that's why it's better to adopt a lifestyle, so that way you're always in alignment with what's working for your body. You're feeding the muscle and you're slowly but surely starving off that fat tissue, and then your body, you know, a year later is totally different, right? But a lot of people are like, oh, okay, I'll get fat for winter, get lean for spring, get fat for winter, lean for spring. They're going back and forth from bulk to cut. I'd say it would be better, I think, to find the way that doesn't make you deposit so much body fat, but at the same time you're putting on strength. But it's honest strength because it's actually because you're putting on muscle. It's not because you just put on a bunch of body fat and then the weight of the body fat is actually moving the weight, right? So if you want to be a bodybuilder, I think that's a better way to be, is to find the nutrition that feeds your muscle and doesn't necessarily feed your fat stores so aggressively. And that way you will slowly improve and be able to maintain that all the time, instead of say, okay, I'm only going to be lean for 1 month out of the year and then the rest of the year I'm going to look like you know, Santa Claus, right? So although that works for Christmas. If you want to look like Santa Claus for Christmas, that's okay. I get it. Oh, thanks, Rashab. Jane? Yeah, 2:30 a.m. Yeah, I know what that's like. Do we ever stand on each other's shoulders while working out, me and my brother? Yeah. No, we never did that. We weren't in the circus. Just so you know, deserted son, I wasn't in the circus, and neither was my brother, although he belongs there because he doesn't belong anywhere else. And I know he's watching right now, and he deserves that comment. Yes, he does. Trust me. He's been a bad brother. Do I ever get any nerve impingement? I've been going heavy on shoulders sometimes. Yeah, you know, I don't get nerve impingement issues, but sometimes if I have my arms like this, because of the dislocating shoulder, that can cause a problem. My arm will go to sleep and stuff. Check your neck out, Robo Warrior. Go to a chiropractor or a massage therapist, check your neck out. Because if your neck is too tight, it might pull on the brachial plexus and actually cause a bit of shoulder impingement. So make sure you do that, because I think you'll get a lot out of that. And those of you that haven't done so, or if you're in my area, go see my brother. He's unbelievable at this kind of stuff. So he actually will put you back together. He's good with chiropractic manipulation, although it's not chiropractic he does. He's a naturopath, but they actually manipulate joints and stuff and help put them back in place. But he also works with the muscle tissue and the energetic systems at the same time. So it's a really good idea to go see somebody like him. Yeah. Static holds can build as much muscle as regular hair root. Static holds. No, I don't think static holds can build as much muscle as regular reps. No. Yeah. I wish my twin brother would work out with me. You may check. Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. Your general practitioner is right about that, RoboWare, because if you are getting problems with it, one of my training partners, I'll share. Sit right back. I'm going to share a story from back in the day with you, okay? I feel like I need a rocking chair here, a banjo. But anyway, when I trained with a training partner of mine years ago, he was, I think we were around 24 years old at the time, 25, and he was a mass monster. He was really big and wicked looking shoulders and everything, but he used to always get this shoulder problem. And I was like, what's wrong with the shoulder problem? Well, he went to the massage therapist, and the problem is his neck was so tight it was pulling up, and it would pinch off the nerves in his brachial plexus to the rest of his arm. And every time he went to the massage therapist and he actually got his scalenes, like the muscles right here, dealt with, right? And then the traps, and he got all the trigger points out of there, boom, instantaneously blood flow would be restored, nerve supply, and then his shoulder pain will go away. So definitely get your traps checked out and your neck checked out, get it put back in place, get the muscles dealt with, and then find out if you're doing a lot of shrugs and stuff and you're doing this with your neck, like straining like a rooster or whatever, you're a rooster rower, stop doing that. Try to find a way to find that stable point. But a lot of times this neck movement will happen with a tight neck, and I do get a tight neck from time to time because of the instability of the shoulder. So the muscles in my back and neck are trying to stabilize the shoulder, and there's nothing really I can do about that unless I want to go in for surgery with the shoulder, and I don't want to do that. 6 months not training, I can't imagine doing that. It just doesn't seem like the right thing to do, and I've seen too many people get surgery and then they're not really much better after. So I've decided to do it this way, right? So I hope that helps you. Yeah. But you're half robot anyway, so I don't know if you really need to get in massage therapy, Do I work my traps? I don't work my traps directly. I did a video on this, how to get big traps. G-Monkey, watch that, okay? Watch the video on how I got big traps. I explained it in there really well, okay? I explained it so well, it's like I'm a genius. It's like, no, I'm just kidding. But anyway, I explained it well how I do it, so. Yeah, okay, so here we go. Yeah, deserted son, how do you convince your friend to give up his 1-year membership at the Great Wall Buffet and instead get a gym membership? Yeah, I don't know how to do that either. Yes, I was born in wild as the Taliban. Yeah, I was born in Canada, born on the East Coast, and I moved to the West Coast with my dad. My dad was a policeman, and he took us to the other side of the country. Not by his own choice, but that's where he got transferred when I was a kid, and this is where I grew up. Yeah, the West Coast of Canada. Okay. Do I eat flaxseed? I've eaten some flaxseed here and there, not that much. Yeah, Farmer's Walk, Everin, can actually help with trap development for sure, because it forces you to stretch the traps, right? Yeah. Okay, let me see here. I'm going to scroll up here. I've been missing some of your guys' comments, so I'm not trying to do that. So, 1 second here. Joseph Stalin, yes, I had stretch marks on my arms and stuff and in my armpits, but they kind of disappear. Preventing them, I don't know. Preventing them, I think the only way to probably prevent them is to make sure you moisturize the area quite a bit with oil and stuff, vitamin E and all that, but I don't know if there's another way of doing that, to tell you the truth. I'm not really a beauty channel. Yeah, easy as a guy. Easy as a guy. Okay, now I'm starting to get your name. I'm starting to understand. Easy as a guy. Is that what that means? Okay, all right, now I'm starting to understand that. Okay. So you're saying that my brother and I were using a pec technique to stretch out the pecs, okay? We were using a technique to actually stretch the pecs out. It's my brother doing that, but there's different techniques that are patented, or I don't know what they call they're trademarked, okay? So you can't actually use the name. But the bottom line is there's certain massage techniques where you hold on to the muscle fibers and then move the pec through the range of motion, or the muscle to the range of motion, and that helps unglue the fibers, right? Because if you've ever had a chicken breast or a steak, there's this fascia, like a second skin that is around the tissue or the muscle, okay? And that sinews it's like a saran wrap bag. And sometimes if it gets tweaked or pulled, it can kind of glue together. So there's two fibers that aren't able to move over top of each other properly. So that can actually cause a little bit of muscular dysfunction. It can prevent blood flow, and it also can prevent some of your strength, because if not all the fibers are running right, then you can't use all those fibers to move the joints, right? So through these types of massage techniques, you can actually start to restore function to the area and recovery, because there's more blood flow, and more blood flow is always recovery, right? More blood flow also will mean that your muscles will develop differently. They will develop differently. If you have more blood flow, obviously your muscle's going to develop differently if different parts of the muscle are actually getting blood flow and nutrients that they need, right? So that's basically what that was. Okay. So G Monkey's asking me how I feel about the bodybuilding world today. Yeah. You know, the thing is, the dysfunction of the bodybuilding world was always there. It was there when I was training too. Like, that's the reason why I competed in natural bodybuilding, because people knew what drugs were, and they were like, oh, you can't look like that. You must be on drugs. And I'm like, okay, I'll prove to you that I'm natural. I'll go do my polygraph test. I'll go do my urine test. And my brother went in that show with me, and we both won that show. I won the overall. He won his division, because we were in height divisions at that time. And then I won another show, and I did another polygraph, another urine test. Then I went Muscle Media Magazine. They did a random urine test on me, and then people would still say, oh, you're probably just lying, or you found a way around the test. I'm like, okay, fuck. This is just the way people are, right? They just don't want to believe anything can be achieved, because a lot of people lack focus. They don't want to try towards one goal. But I was terribly tunnel visioned. I'm not saying that's the way everybody should be, but that's the way I was with this sport at that time. That was the only thing I was good at, and the only thing I did. I was a bum with every other aspect of my life at that time. But this was the thing I really tried to achieve something in. But what do I think about the bodybuilding industry? I think the bodybuilding industry is a mess. I think that what I'm speaking about, and there are some pretty advanced bodybuilders out there, and some of them are watching this channel right now. I think that they have the right attitude. They treat this like a discipline that is a spiritual discipline as much as it is a physical one. But it doesn't have to be this narcissistic, obsessive sort of pissing contest that some people turn it into. Like, if they can bench press or squat more than another person, they use it as a way to hate the other person or to be better than them. I don't like that too much. I think it's human nature to try to be alpha. I know that kind of is part of growing up as a man. You're trying to find your identity in the world. But I think it's better to find your identity by how you help other people instead of how you suppress them, right? I think that's really the more mature, evolved way, and it took me a long time to get to that point. And I think that we're always evolving as human beings, and that continues. But I think that you'll get a lot farther ahead by finding a way to serve people. And it's amazing how many people don't want to be served because they're just so unused to that. They're not used to people doing anything for them because they're like, everybody's out to get me. Okay, I got to get you first. And I think that's where a lot of the hate comes from on YouTube. They just assume that somebody's out to get them to make a profit because a YouTuber might make some Google AdWords money, or they might make, like maybe I sell a program to support, the 30 or 40 hours work I'm putting in a week to give out free information. But that's not what it's about. It's about preventing people from snapping themselves up and creating emotional pain around this whole thing that can be a lot of fun, right? Because you can see how much fun I have in the gym. I harass it and joke around with everybody. Like that's really the most amount of fun I have from it. Having muscles, the fun part for me is that I love to entertain and get on stage, but that's a way of serving people, but it's not because I'm saying, hey, look at me, I'm better than you. That is never what it is. That was what it was when I was 14 because I was so suppressed. I was like bullied and everything. I wanted to, find my way in the world, but at some point, the most amount of fun I had was the effect that I had on people when they let me in. I could establish deeper relationships. That was really what it was about. That's the most important thing, I think. So yeah, that's my 2 cents. So I think there are some people in the bodybuilding industry that are like that, and I think that's very good. And I think bodybuilding is tremendous. I think lifting weights or exercise, any type of discipline is great. I think it's good for you as a human being to get back to your roots and say, hey, this is the first home I'm in. Why am I worried about pressure washing my driveway when I'm not even taking care of this, right? This has to be the first thing you take care of, right? And bodybuilding isn't the only way to do this. You can do it through other exercise or martial arts or whatever you do. I love all of it. I think you're all freaking great for doing whatever it is you're doing. But whatever helps you connect to your own body, I think that's great. Because when people are happier with themselves, they're just naturally happier to be around. They're better people because they have something to share and they're not looking to compete, So, yeah, let me just go in the comments here. Old man was just rambling again. Yeah, you're like, just shut up, Jason. Shut up. So, okay. Shailene Sharma, yes, my Kundalini is wide awake, and it has been for a long time, and I initiate people and everything, but I stopped doing that because there's not a lot of real spiritual seekers out there. But yeah, that's not a bodybuilding question, so I'll stay away from that. Yeah, it has been wide awake for a long time. Wide awake. A lot of people think their Kundalini is awake, but it's not really awake. They just have experiences. But anyway, yeah, I've been initiated as a. I'll just stay away from that on this channel, but yes, it is definitely awake. Yeah. Yeah, you know what? The problem is, Harut, Jay, it isn't the muscle that causes people to hate. It's the why they want the muscle. And you know, for instance, with me when I was a kid, when I wanted muscle so I could destroy things, you know, because I was an immature kid and I got bullied and I got beat up and, you know, humiliated and I wanted revenge, you know. But at some point, I found out in early adulthood that wasn't a good way to live my life. So bodybuilding became more about art, and then it became more about fun, and yeah, it all changed, right? And the only guy I'll beat up on is my brother. So if he's listening right now, he's getting a beating after this because he made a couple insulting comments there. So yeah, Shailene Sharma, I will make a tutorial on electronic music at some point. I'm not the best at it yet. I'm good. Well, hey, you know, I enjoy myself, and I want you guys to enjoy yourself too. So don't think I'm not trying to brag here, but I'm pretty proud of myself as a guy that wasn't actually trained in music, that I can actually do this now. So I'm pretty happy about it. But yeah, there are people that are way better than me at this. But yeah, I will do a tutorial when I'm confident that I can actually share something. And I know there's enough of you out there that want me to share that kind of stuff, then I will do that. Because this whole channel and bodybuilding is an art for me. It's all art. So I think that if you guys can really look at this as just art and we can all share this art together, it becomes really fun. Because now it's more like, I don't know, it's like kids getting together rather than anybody pissed off at each other because you use green and I use blue to paint my painting. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that that's really the thing. Sets, reps, range of motion, all that kind of stuff. It's just all just pieces of the art. And once you put that stuff together, I think this whole thing just becomes more like a Da Vinci type process instead of an ego alpha process, right? What program do I use for music production? I use Logic Pro 10. So yeah, Logic Pro 10 is what I do. And do I take lessons? Shailene, what do you want lessons in? You want me to teach you what, music or what? I met Arnold, and I have a video on this, so watch that video. G Monkey, you're a very bad man. You haven't been watching my videos, okay? But anyway, yeah, I basically met Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I was extremely disappointed. No, that's okay, G Monkey, I love you anyway. But I met Arnold Schwarzenegger one time, and I was extremely disappointed because I didn't want to disturb him. He was at his own place, Shotzi's on Main, and that was in Marina Del Rey, and I was sitting there having some lunch. And I was down there for a photo shoot in LA at the time, and he was sitting a couple tables away, and the manager came over to us and said, "Are you going to say hi to Arnold today? You know, I can get him to do an autograph for you and everything." And I said, "Well, no, I don't want to disturb him because he was with his daughter and he was with another guy in a meeting or something." And so anyway, the manager went over there, and he basically forced Arnold to do a shot with us, and you could tell that Arnold wasn't too happy about it. So yeah, he was like, "Hey guys, get this over with," and then that was it, right? So yeah, it was very anticlimactic, to tell you the truth, because I've seen this guy in Conan and everything. He was like a hero to me when I was a kid, and then yeah, hurry up and get this over with, guys. And I was like, okay, that's really great, thanks, man. Where Lou Ferrigno, everybody hates Lou Ferrigno on the internet. Everybody's like, oh, that guy's such a bastard because he charged me $20 or $30 for a photo at a booth or at a convention. But I'm like, listen, this guy has to make a living too, and he has to fly out there and do this. This is how he makes his living, is through his celebrity thing. I mean, Paris Hilton, nobody's hating her, even though she's making like 20 grand to just show up to a nightclub. But everybody's hating on Lou Ferrigno because he's making his living at a booth somewhere and charging for a photo. But the thing is, Lou Ferrigno, when I met him personally, he was super nice. Like, that guy went out of his way to say hi to me and be nice to me, and I was nobody. Like, I was nobody. In Venice Golds, even at the peak of what I look like a leprechaun compared to the guys that are on the IFBB stage, and I wasn't Mr. Celebrity or anything. He had no reason to talk to me, and he went out of his way to come over and say, hey, you look good, how are you, you know? Super nice guy. So that's my experience with him. So I've had some debates with people on the internet. They say Lou's just a jerk, and he's a money hungry and everything, and yeah, maybe they've had that experience with him, but yeah, I had the opposite experience. How's it going, Alexi? How's it going? Oh, man, I can't pronounce your guys' names, and I wish I could because I don't like being rude, but yeah, you get some beautiful names. I'm sure that they just sound so great. How old am I? I'm 43, Shailene. I'm 43. Wise as 4,300, but I'm 43, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, actually, this is kind of funny. I didn't imagine that I'd actually be on here. Yeah, Bill Pearl was a pretty nice guy. When did I start working out? When I was 14, Shailene. Yeah. When Harut, I still get steroid accusations, not from friends and family though. Friends and family, anybody that knows me knows that I am natural. They know me because they know they know my MO. They know why I do what I do, right? So once you know me, you know that that's just not the path I want to go down. And it's not because I never considered it. When I was 20 years old and I had that really bad lower back injury and I was naive, I was a kid and my muscle was the most important thing to me. And I was like, oh, Dad, I went to my dad. I was lucky. I had a good dad. See, a lot of people don't have that. I had a dad that was experienced in some matters. And I said to him, do you think this is worth the risk? If I went down the unnatural path, do you think this is worth the risk? And he just turned to me, he said, listen, if somebody's offering you $1 million tomorrow and it would take care of you and your family and your life, perhaps, maybe it's something that you could weigh. But otherwise, you're risking your health for nothing. You don't even know what will happen. Maybe you're going to end up on kidney or liver dialysis or whatever it is, or blood dialysis one day. And you did it just because you gained some muscle, but you don't even know if you'll make a career out of it. Now you've destroyed your ability to make any money. And now you've actually destroyed the very thing that you love. And I loved training. So I was like, okay, what if my health explodes? What if something happens to my organs, right? And I was like, well, if something happens to my organs and I can't train, that would be the worst hell for me at that age. I was thinking, I want to be able to train the rest of my life, so why would I want to risk this just for a moment or a flash in the pan of looking great and then my health going to shit? And a lot of bodybuilders in the 90s were dying and stuff. You could see this. The side effects were very real and stuff was happening. So that's why I decided that I want to be natural, because I want to be able to train the rest of my life. You see, that was the most important thing, because I love training so much. So I think guys that are using stuff, they don't love training enough because they're not thinking about what this might lead to. They're only thinking short-sighted. They're only saying, okay, what's going to make me look better tomorrow, but not about what's going to make me look good 20, 30 years from now, right? And that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking long-term, holistic, right? What do I think about training forearms? Anybody can train forearms if they want. I never have, and I've got some pretty good forearms, but it doesn't mean that's the case for you, okay? So just, you got to kind of weigh this with how you're built and how your muscles attach and everything, right? Good for Bartley, man. Yeah, good. You lost 20 pounds. Good. Way to go. Way to go, Bartley. Epic flying monkey. The flying monkey's here. Okay. G Monkey, is it easier at 43 than 20 years ago regarding building muscle? I would say it's harder in some way because of some of the mileage that I put on myself from hockey. Okay, like the dislocating shoulder and all that stuff. So, yeah, but it's easier though in a way of, it's easier for me to get motivated to train. It's easier for me to have motivation to show up to the gym and to know what I'm doing. I'm very sure about what I'm doing. But at the same time, it's a totally different experience. It's almost like I've changed dimensions. I think all that meditation stuff screwed me up. It changed me totally. I make totally different decisions now. So yeah, the reality or the experience of training is just so much different for me. Cool. Okay, I'm gonna just go up here. Okay, Flash Errol, you're being funny. What do I think of full range movement? Okay, I think full range is perfect, but what's full range for you? That's the most important thing to discover, right? So that is the most important thing. Okay, let me just go up here because I know I've missed a couple of you guys and I want to not... Okay, do I record my music live? Okay, easy as a guy. He's asking me if I record my music live. No, I just play it at the computer. I actually play it. I play the instruments and play the tracks, each individual track, right? So as I do that, there's basically different tracks and you bring in different instruments and then, yeah, I'll do a bunch of stuff. I'll do a tutorial at some point. I'll do a tutorial once I'm confident that I'll actually offer something of value to you guys. I don't think that, I'm still getting better at mastering and all that kind of stuff. Antonius Hannah is asking, is strength training important for natural bodybuilding? Yes, it is. Yeah, you need to get stronger in order to grow muscle, but stronger at different rep ranges is also important, right? Shailene's asking if you can work out 4 in the morning. Yes, you could on an empty stomach. You know, there's no right or wrong. It's just a matter of more what works for you, right? Okay, Robo Warrior's asking about cardio for conditioning and for recovery. Cardio is awesome for recovery, just getting the blood flow going. But that's one of the reasons why I was training whole body workouts 4 or 5 days a week, because some of those days would almost be glorified cardio days, right? There would just be light tension, like say doing sets of 50-pound dumbbells or 60-pound dumbbells for presses when I could do easily 120-pound dumbbells. So that was almost like a cardio workout for me. Not that it was cardio specifically, but it was more about blood flow type workouts, right? So cardio can work like that. It can actually increase your blood flow, and that will help your recovery. So light cardio though, I wouldn't say going hardcore cardio would be smart, because hardcore cardio will then say, okay, body needs to adapt to that. So what you want to do is use the cardio for blood flow. So just 100 beats a minute on the cardio on the bike or something like that. That's your heart rate. So you just do 100 beats a minute or 110, get a light sweat going, and doing that for 15 to 30 minutes, that can really help you get more energy for your workout, right? Because it helps also the mitochondria in your cells work properly, so then your cells are better at processing energy, and then you have more energy for your weight training workouts. So everything has to do with the priority principle. It's about making yourself able to train harder and be able to put more power and effort into that, right? And if something supports that, then it will help you increase muscle mass. Is the push-pull split the best training split? I would say I never used the push-pull training split, just so you know. I never did. So when am I going to win the Mr. Olympia? Yeah, that's right. I'm about 100 pounds away from that, yeah. Okay, so G Monkey's asking if you can gain muscle with higher reps. Yes, you can. Yeah, because the thing is, you can get more strength at 10 reps. So say you could do 200 pounds for a set of 10 to 15 reps, and then one day you could do 210 for 10 to 15 reps. Guess what? You've gained in strength. So there is this misconception out there that people say that you have to do 5 by 5 in order to gain strength and stuff. You don't. Although that stuff's very effective and I like it, but if you don't have the capacity to do that, say you have some injuries in the area that are sensitive, maybe lifting at that rep range injures you for some reason, because like I said, there's different torque curves. Like depending on how you're built, sometimes a person has stress in the knee, say they squat and they're here, they might have 3 times the amount of stress on their knee than another person does, depending on how the lever arms are working, right? So at that rate, then a 5 rep set is much more dangerous to that person and not necessary actually. So then they might benefit for a higher rep range. So yeah, you can gain strength at any rep range and really benefit. So I would say stick to that. Find out what that rep range is that you're comfortable with, that doesn't injure you, because first priority is not getting injured. Second priority is lifting heavy, right? So you want to find that balance, right? Yeah, foam rolling is great in yoga and body weight work, stretching, that stuff's all good. Foam rolling is like a massage. It's like actually dealing with the muscle fascia. You're actually breaking all that tissue and fibers up and stuff. And I think that if you basically, maintain the body well, just like a bird maintains its feathers or a cat maintains its fur, if you do this, you will have a greater tendency to recover and more blood flow. That's really what it's about. So that's what all the massage stuff is about, and foam rolling and stuff. My brother and I have been doing this kind of stuff for years, like long before this became a trend on YouTube. I was already digging my back into the squat rack or into the things, or laying on a ball, or laying on like a wood. I have this wooden knob, right? It's like a triangle, like a pyramid, and I lay on that thing to get the trigger points out of my back. And you've seen it in my how to increase your bench press in 20 minutes video, and that works amazingly, and I learned all this stuff from seeing massage therapists and talking to them and grilling them about why my body was dysfunctional for a moment in time, and they say, okay, this was knotted up, or that was knotted up, and then I just discovered that once I started to self massage and use self massage techniques, that I started having less instance of joint pain, right? Can I flex? There you go. Yeah, 15 plus reps, low volume every 36 hours is fine, but if you start feeling really stringy, if you start feeling really flattened out, and you start feeling tension in the joint, then you need an extra day off or so, okay? So just bear that in mind, because I pushed frequency to the utmost degree, and what I found was that I was starting to get too flattened out, and I was also getting a little bit of tightness in the tendons and insertions and stuff. And then once that starts happening, then you're really on the risk of injury. So then you want to back off and give an extra day because the tendons do recover more slowly than the muscles, okay? So that is a common thing. So sometimes your muscles will recover, but your tendons aren't necessarily catching up with the recovery. So you might need a deload a couple days or whatever. So just bear that in mind if you're going to go more higher frequency. I have my workout programs though. I outline frequency quite well in there. So if you guys need a template, you know, honestly, it'll be the best money you ever spent if you buy one of these programs and start. I know a number of you already have, but it's definitely a good place to start if you're confused about how to structure everything, right? Alexei is saying, "Can I answer?" Okay, I'm gonna scroll up here, Alexei. What did I miss of your comment here? What did you say? What body type am I? Okay, I'm. I would say I'm meso and meso-ecto. That's probably where I started. I think meso-ecto. I'm a combination of both. Well, Big Bros Fitness, you're saying, is it possible to gain lean muscle mass and look like a bodybuilder on roids if you eat nothing but clean, full foods and natural body capable of achieving such a physique? Well, you're asking me, is a natural bodybuilder capable of achieving a great physique? I don't know whether I should be insulted from that comment or whether I should, I don't know how to answer that. Because I would say that my physique is pretty much proof that you can eat clean foods and look like you're a competitive bodybuilder. I've won provincial shows, which would, in the States, would be a state show. So basically, if I won these shows against guys that were on drugs, then I think that, yeah, as a natural guy, by eating clean, you could achieve that. I have, so. Yeah. Oh, you didn't think that? Okay, I thought that was obvious because that's funny. How many hours do I work out a day? About an hour and a half. Yeah. Okay. Let me see here. Somebody else said. Logic Pro 10, Maciek. Logic Pro 10. It's an Apple program. How do I deal with my thighs rubbing together? One thing, Harut, actually funny enough, one thing to realize is that it's good to keep the hair on your legs, okay? Some people they say, oh, hair is bad because, you know, bodybuilder, you wanna have that, you know, clean look for photo shoots and you look leaner and everything. But the thing is, hair actually, I've discovered, serves a purpose. It actually reduces friction burn in the armpits as well as between the legs when you're walking if you have bigger legs. So yeah, keep the hair on there. That would prevent friction burn. I think Phil Heath's physique is unbelievable. I don't know if he's even beatable, honestly. I think that Phil Heath is, he's got quite an amazing, I don't know what he's like as a human being, you know? I don't know what he's like because he's under a tremendous amount of stress being where he is. I don't know if the camera's really ever capturing the real Phil Heath, but his physique is unreal. Like, he does have really nice lines and ballooniness, and his stomach isn't totally bloated and distended like a lot of the bodybuilders out there. So yeah, I like his physique the best out of a lot of them, that's for sure. Alexei, natural limit, I don't know how long it'll take. It'll depend on the person, but I'd say you're going to get to, like I answered earlier, about 80%, 85% after about 5 to 10 years of your training. And then from there, you know. Eunice, yeah, said your name. See, I'm under the spell. I'm not even getting any super chaps, and I'm under the spell here, okay? Okay, so Chrono's asking how much cardio is too much cardio. Does too much cardio kill gains, or is it just about caloric intake regardless, and you can just run marathons as long as you eat enough? Chrono, that's a good question, and I've answered this in the other videos about cardio for fat loss. And I would say no. If you do really intense cardio, it won't matter how much calories you eat. You can eat a Mack truck full of calories, and you will still lose muscle because your body is just burning it up like crazy. That's why you'll see these. You guys like Tour de France or triathletes, they'll eating like tons of food and they're burning it up. And I've actually experienced this first time when I was doing karate and also when I was playing hockey. I could drink sugar, boatloads of just sugar, high glycemic carbs and everything, and I still would lose muscle but keep the fat. So that's the problem. If you do too hard a cardio, you'll actually burn off your muscle because your muscle is a great fuel source compared to your fat stores. It actually gets burned up at a faster rate, right? So Rashab, what certification do I recommend? Honestly, I think all certifications in personal training are all shit. Some of them are probably okay, I guess, but I think it's just so stupid that, like I did ISSA certification long time ago when I was back in the 90s. I actually learned it from Tom Platz. Tom Platz actually came up here and I did a course with him. But the problem is with the certifications is that it's just a money-making machine where they say take a weekend course and then all of a sudden you know enough to train somebody. And usually it's somebody that doesn't even train or barely even knows anything about training, and then they're going to take me through a workout and approve whether I know what I'm talking about or not. And the problem is the stuff that I know is too advanced for them to understand it, and they would fail me. That's probably what would happen if I took certification right now. They'd say, oh, no, you have to bench press this way or move this way or cardio has to work this way. So certification is just a money grab for the insurance companies out there, and that's really all it is. It's basically just one of those things for people to get insurance. That's why they get certified, but the certification doesn't teach you anything about actually how to train a person. So that's the thing I don't like about it. So Lee Mojo, what did you say now? What did you say? Okay, I'm gonna go up here. Sorry guys, so just bear with me here. I'm just trying to kind of help some people out. Trying to help all you out here. Lee Mojo, hi, what do you think of HIIT training? One set. I don't like it. HIIT training, I did a video on it. Watch the video. Watch the video on HIIT training, okay? HIIT training might work for some people. I'm open to that because this channel is all about open, okay? So I'm okay. If it works for you, great, but it never worked for me. Like that kind of thing. It didn't work for a couple reasons. So one of the big things that a lot of HIIT people will say, Jason, it didn't work for you because you just didn't do it right. Because you just didn't work hard enough or you didn't do it. But the problem is that if I'm only training once every 4 to 8 days, the likelihood of me being able to manifest the actual willpower and ability to push myself hard enough from a standstill, it's kind of like getting up from a nap and then going into a sprint, I would not be able to manifest the effort required to be able to push the muscle so hard that it needs 8 days to 12 days to recover and grow. Right? I even talked to Mike Benzer myself. I talked to him directly, actually, and he even had a theory that training once every 8 or 9 days was enough. So basically training is something that you have to experiment with. So if this works for you, I would say do that. That's okay. Because honestly, I would love for HIIT training to be the best possible thing. You know why? Because it means you only train once a week, maybe twice a week, tops. Wow. How much time you have. That would be awesome. I would only train a half hour a week, just really intense, and then go home. But the thing is that when I trained legs just once a week, just back in the day, this is not even HIIT training, but train legs once a week, I found that I was so out of shape by the time I came around to training legs again, I couldn't manifest the willpower or the effort required in order to push the muscle enough. It was more like I was just stuck in a warm-up because I was like, oh my God, I'm going to puke my guts out here. I'm out of breath, like dying, like my cardio was the weak link. Like so many things are the weak link, but not the muscle tissue. So with HIIT training, they want you to do one set, but it's an extended set. It's a set of strip sets. It's a set of machines, which I agree with in a way, because when you're taking things to absolute total failure, you don't want your balance to go off because then you will tweak something. So when you manifest that, when you're doing 4 or 5 sets like that in a row, yeah, it's pretty damn intense. And I find that training that balls out effort from standstill is just too much of an extreme. I find my training it works best with constant stimulus and then little bits of recovery. It's the callus principle, like I always talk. Get it calluses? It's a little bit of ditch digging every single day. But if you're digging a ditch every day, you're digging a ditch once in a month, but then you're not touching a shovel for a month, your hands just get torn apart, right? So I find that it's just too extreme. There's too much of a polarity in it, I find. Yeah. Okay, let me see here. Okay, Joseph, you're saying squatting makes your lower back hurt? That's pretty common. Yeah, okay. Try doing some reverse hyper type movements, like lifting your legs on a ball or like a Swiss ball. If you lay your stomach on a ball and lift one leg at a time, start firing those lower back muscles. The other thing is find out whether you're squatting too deep for you. You might be going too deep and using a lot of your lower back to come out of the hole. That is another thing. Another thing is, yeah, you could lighten the weight. You could lighten the weight and say, okay, what is honestly going to hit my legs more in this case instead of put that extra stress on the lower back? Because if your lower back is always stressed, I mean, it's normal for it to have a little bit of tightness after squatting. I mean, that's normal because your lower back muscles are actually getting hit for sure. But this is also linked to your neck, just so you know. If your neck is tight, this will also affect your lower back. So find out what happens once you get your neck muscles addressed from the massage therapy, okay? Once that happens, I think that you may notice that your lower back starts to free up quite a bit, right? So that's the other thing to take into consideration. Your spine is an entire system, and if one part's messed up, then the other part will compensate. And it will be needlessly more tight than it needs to be because it's trying to make up for the tightness up here, so it's trying to be more flexible. And a lot of times it tries to do that under the wrong circumstances. So yeah, get that checked out. I think you'll be better off. Okay. Yeah, no problem there, Joseph. I love the name, by the way. Yeah, okay, Everin Sinarli, how do you grow your lower back with herniated discs? Yeah, stuff like the Swiss ball I think is good because it helps support the back, but you're gonna have to go on how you feel on this because obviously I'm not in your body right now. I don't feel your injury. I don't know exactly what your particular scenario is like. But yeah, when your back is supported on a Swiss ball and you're lifting one leg at a time, you start to increase your proprioception, your ability to fire the muscle to help protect the spine. So you want those muscles to be functioning very well. Another thing to consider is prolotherapy. My brother does do prolotherapy where they inject the ligaments around the spine with glucose, which helps flare the ligaments up. It's a totally natural substance, but that flaring up helps the ligaments heal and then tighten again, so that way they're supporting the spine properly. So check out prolotherapy if you can. I don't know if it's available with where you live or whatever, but that is a very strong sort of thing to help with that. And there are a lot of people that have a lot of success with that type of therapy, so that's something to check out. A little bit of ab work is good too, right? Jackson Brown, the singer, he's probably an ugly dude, eh? Hot chocolate, is that what you're trying to say? No. I don't know who that is, so. What's my favorite cheap fat source? Haagen-Dazs, I think, yeah. Shailene, why don't pro bodybuilders fall prey to tendonitis? They work out 6 hours a day. Actually, they don't work out 6 hours a day. Some of them do, but most of them don't. I am part native, yes. But yeah, the pro bodybuilders do fall victim to tendonitis. If you watch, they've got a lot of times sleeves around here. They've got their knees wrapped up when they squat. They're wearing a belt even when they're doing bench presses. And then I was there training with Jean-Pierre Fuchs. I trained with him one day at the gym, and he's a super nice guy, by the way. So if any of you guys have ever an opportunity to meet him, super nice guy. But I trained with him 1 month before when he was squatting, and he tore both those quadriceps off the bone when he was squatting. Okay, so for those of you guys that think that somehow that they're training and that ligaments don't, like ligaments and tendons, it is a scientific fact that they heal at a slower rate. It is a scientific fact that they get less blood flow. So yeah, if you're getting too much stress on the muscle and your tendons are lagging behind, you will notice that sometimes there is a difference between the healing of the muscle and the actual tendons in the joints. The joints do take longer to heal. Okay, somebody's tapping in French, so I'm not going to understand that. Oh, thanks, hot chocolate. That's so nice of you. I'm so used to getting insulted. See, I always got the shield up. I never know what's going on. So anyway. So Shailene, yes, just so you know, to answer your question, tendons do need more time to heal. It's just a fact. It's something that I've discovered over 30 years of training, watching with everybody. And there's Champus. There you are. There you are, Champus, my employer. Hey, yeah. I said, okay, so basically with CT Fletcher video, okay, I talked about whether he's natural or not. And what I said in that video is I said it's possible. And I also had number two, I said it's very possible that he used stuff back in the day when he was doing like the 700-pound bench press type stuff. So basically I was right, because he's saying he only used some stuff for a period of time, like a year or something like that, or a few months or something is actually what he said. I didn't really watch the whole video, but the bottom line is that there have been times, I believe that guy is a genetic mutant. I believe CT actually had some massive development long before he ever touched anything. And I think that a lot of people out there assume that the only way to get muscle is to use some sort of substance. And that's not true. I think that he was actually totally huge before. So I still stand by what I said. Okay, I'm going to just... 1 second here. I'm just checking another comment here. I have to go up here. Okay. 1 second here. Here we go. All right. I don't have a beard yet. No, shoot 'em up. No beard. Sorry. Okay, so here we go. All right. One step at a time here. Sorry, guys. Just bear with the technical details of this whole process right here as I'm going through the comments. Am I half native? Yes, I am. So I think I answered that already. Okay. And basically, did I make a dumbbell shoulder press video yet? By the way, everybody, Bolo is my employee. Yeah, that's funny. Bolo made one contribution to the channel, one donation, and all of a sudden I'm his employee. Yeah, okay. But thanks, man. I still appreciate it there, Champus. Yeah, thanks. You call me Bolo anymore, though. I'm gonna find you. I might come to your country and find you. You might be surprised how resourceful I am. But anyway, yeah, shoulder press. I have done some dumbbell shoulder presses and everything. I'm going to be doing a tutorial video for some of you guys out there because I know some of you can't, you don't know how to lift the dumbbells and actually get them up. So I'm going to show you how I do that. And that might help a couple of you because I know some of you are having some trouble with that. Hey, Daniel. That's my neighbor there. Yeah, I won't put him in the video. He's scared. So what's the best chest exercise for, is the video lagging? Okay. All right. Somebody asked me, what is the best chest exercise for skinny guys? I don't know if it really matters whether you're skinny or whether you're fat or whether you're endomorph or mesomorph or ectomorph. Bench press is a great exercise overall because it hits the delts, the triceps, and the chest. But ultimately what you want to do is you want to find out what is the best angle of attack for you based on how your insertions are hitting and stuff. And that's why you see me experimenting with different angles. I'm doing like the internally rotated palms and palms like this up, pressing like that to take the tricep out. And then palms like this. Sometimes I'm on an incline that's steeper. And then when I'm on flat, then I'll do normal bench press. But I'm trying these different angles out. And the reason why is because I'm trying to find out, based on my insertions and everything, what is actually hitting that chest the most. And I find from changing the angles of the hands, that's really helping. So sometimes you need to mess around like this. So it's not about whether a skinny guy has to train different than a fat guy, or a tall guy train different than a short guy, or an ectomorph train different than an endomorph. It's more about how do you need to train. And that's what I talked about in my last video. The last training vlog I put up about how to find the right routine that works for you. That video came from a place of one person was saying to me that they're an ectomorph, so they have to train this way because they're tall and they're an ectomorph. And I'm saying, well, just because you're tall doesn't mean you have to train a certain way. You're tall, that's one factor, but there's a million other factors that are also contributing to how you should train. So you have to take those into account, right? Because you could take two tall guys and they train totally different. Do you have to fully rest until you recover from sore muscles? No, not necessarily. Yeah. Okay, Waylon Rose is asking me, do you like to pre-exhaust with isolations before compounds? Sometimes. Yeah, I have done that sometimes, especially when I'm having trouble hitting that body part. Because whenever you do a compound exercise, you'll have a number of muscles hit failure. But one of the muscles that hits failure might not be the muscle that you want to hit at that time. So you might want your chest to grow on bench press, but maybe your delts are always what give out, or your triceps, right? And if that's happening, then your chest is not necessarily hitting failure, not necessarily getting the stimulus it needs to grow. So in that case, then doing chest flies first and then going to bench press would be better. Horrible for your ego because you're going to be using a lot less weight, but it might be better for chest development, right? How is my back so damn wide? Well, if you saw me, you know it's not genetics. It's actually the way I train. Most people think with back training, like I've said, they think that pulling the arm here like this is how they train back. I've seen guys do this. They pull like this. They pull right to their upper shoulder and they pull the arm back. What they're doing is training delts. They're working on rotating around the shoulder. But this is what trains back. That's the movement that trains back. It isn't the movement around the shoulder, you see? So people get messed up that way. They think that training back is that way, and that's how I developed the big back. Just like when I'm doing chins, some guys are like, oh, you're not coming all the way up. I'm like, no, because I don't. When I come to here, that's my back. Now, if I want to go farther up, I've got to rotate in or start using my bicep or my delt, and then now that's what's hitting failure, and that's basically hitting failure, and that's what stops the set. And if that's what's stopping the set, my back's not what's stopping the set. My back still has a lot more to go. So the whole point is to keep pulling until the back can't fire anymore. You know, but a lot of people, they engage with small muscle groups, and then that's what hits failure, and then they say, why don't I build a back, right? Yeah, I won't be doing a collab with anybody, just so you know. Somebody's saying with somebody, I'm not going to be doing a collab because first of all, I've only got around 5,000 subscribers, so a lot of times when a person has 20,000 or 30,000 subscribers, they're not even interested in doing a collab with me because they think that, I don't have any benefit to them, right? Because they'd like to... the reason why collabs happen is they want to basically benefit from your audience, right? Second of all, the stuff that I say is, I think there are some open YouTubers out there, don't get me wrong, and the guy that you suggested might be actually pretty open, but the bottom line is that a lot of people, I've got enough experience that I just know some things to be true, and a lot of times what people do with YouTube channels is they have a certain amount of dogma that they bought into, and they say, okay, this is the way things are, no matter what, right? And that's what the YouTube channel's about. And I think I would have such disagreements with them that there would probably be a problem. You might see like a video of two people fighting. That's probably what would happen. So, we might. Actually, James Tiny Vest. I don't think he. Yeah, I'm pale as a ghost because I'm overexposed because I'm on my phone. So sorry, man. But I'm pale anyway. Yeah. But James Tiny Vest is actually a pretty nice guy. I actually saw a couple of his videos, and I don't think he's a natural bodybuilder. I'm not trying to insult him or anything. I don't think he's natural. I believe that he's pretty obvious about that, but I don't know for sure. So I'm not saying that either. But super nice guy. Actually seems like a really nice, down to earth guy, and I like him actually. I do like him. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, Jason Genova, that would be hilarious. Okay, all right. 1 second here. I'm going to go up here. I'm seeing these comments come by. Andrew Morgan, we just talked about that. Maybe you want to do an isolation exercise first if you want to hit your pecs before bench press. So he's basically saying that his pecs are so lazy that nothing's happening with them because the triceps and the shoulders are actually hitting failure long before his chest does. So in a case like that, you want to pre-exhaust the chest. So you want to be doing an exercise that just isolates the chest. That works really well. Make sure you do lightweight at first to warm up because isolations are more dangerous than compounds. Okay, but warm up, do some reps, get those get that chest totally fatigued, and then go on to bench press and then see what happens. And you might be surprised with the result. It's pretty good actually. Pre-exhaustion or pre-exhaustion is what it's called. See, I can't edit now. See, I got to come up with the words. But pre-exhaustion actually works really well for increasing muscle gains, especially in an area that you're weak in, right? So if you have trouble hitting the lats, do a lat isolation exercise first, then do the lat pull down, right? If you have trouble hitting the chest, do pec flies, and then, do some sort of chest exercise like presses. And if you have problems with your legs, like say you want to hit your quads more, do some leg extensions if those are safe for your knees. I don't do them, but if they're safe for your knees, do them first and then do some squats, right? Yeah, no doubt, Stefan Baltus. I would need vitamin D, 100%. But this exposure is just off to my camera, so trust me, I don't look like this in real life. I'm much uglier. Yeah, a lot more wrinkles and everything, so that's why. Yeah. No, Robo Warrior. Yeah, like I said, he does seem like a really nice guy. I totally agree with you. So, well said. Very well said. Yeah. Okay, let me see here. Okay, so greetings from Texas, Common Sense. He's asking about conventional deadlift on push-pull workout. How many sets would you say is sufficient before moving on to rows and chin-ups? First of all, I would say it depends on your priority. What is your priority? Is it bodybuilding or is it powerlifting, right? Because that would totally change, right? If you're a powerlifter, you'd probably say, well, deadlift's the most important thing. I'm going to use most of my energy for the deadlift. Maybe I got to do 5 to 10 sets of deadlifts for that. And then move on to the assistance work, because they call all the other stuff assistance work, right? Because that stuff's just to help complement. Okay, so for bodybuilding, okay, it's cold in my garage right now. How can you tell? So bodybuilding, if you're for bodybuilding, I would say do enough that you start to, let me see, what's a good way of putting it? Okay, the way I experience it is I hit lower back fatigue where I find that I can't keep my lower back form anymore. I've hit that place where it's almost like that. Say you're lifting 300 pounds for sets of 10. Say that's the thing that you've decided to do, and you could do 3 sets of set of 10. But then by the 4th set you're getting down to a set of 8. Then on the 5th set it's going down to only a set of 6. At that point I'd say it's probably time to move on because you've noticed that your reps have just dropped off. Like there's this fatigue that has set in, right? So 5 sets usually I think would be more than enough because deadlifts are so hard on the overall system. And then from there, I would move on to doing 4 or 5 sets with the other exercises, like 4 or 5 sets of lat pull downs or chins, 4 or 5 sets of bent over rows or whatever, right? Because you do want some of your lower back still functional for those other exercises. You don't want to totally destroy it just on deadlift, because deadlift is not necessarily the best exercise for overall back development for width of the lats and certain areas, although it's great for other areas, depending on how you're built too, okay? So it always depends on how you're built. If you're built really, if you're built in a way that your back seems to really respond and get bigger in the traps and everything from deadlifts, then I'd say you can possibly make the decision to do more sets for the deadlift, because it seems to do that for your body. But for me, I find I would just overstrain the lower back, and then my grip strength and everything would just be destroyed by the time I get to the rest of my back workout, and actually would go against my goals as a bodybuilder, right? So you'll have to find your way in this, right? Okay. Okay, so G Monkey live channel is something you just started. Is it one a week? Okay, sorry, typo. 1 a week or something? Yeah, no, this is the first time I've ever done this actually, because this wasn't available for me on my phone before. So now, because my channel's gotten to a certain point now, it's available, so I can actually live stream to you guys once in a while and answer these questions like this. So I actually do consultations. So hot chocolate or people, if you actually, I do consultations for my website. So some of you don't know that, but I am available for consultations if you want to talk about just natural bodybuilding. I'm not a certified personal trainer. I'm not a medical professional by any means or anything like that. So just bear that in mind. If you come to me for a consultation, it will be more from a bodybuilding point of view or fitness or something like that. More live streams. Don't worry, I'll be doing more live streams. I don't know, do you guys know how to use the super chat at all? I don't know, I just don't know what's coming up from my end. So just let me know. Can you guys give me an answer here? Now I'm going to ask you questions. See, that's going to be live stream for me now. Now I get the live entertainment. I'm going to wait for an answer. Do you guys know what super chat is? Do you know what that is? Come on. I'm not getting any answers. Okay, super chat is basically how you can support the live streams. You guys can support the live streams by donating. It's called a super chat. There you go. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. Okay, good. Okay, I just want to know if you guys know what that's like, because I know this is kind of a new sort of thing. So basically that's how people can support some of the live streams and some of the video stuff, right? So instead of advertising, they get supported that way. So, okay, I just want to know if there's a general knowledge about this stuff out there. Okay. All right, let me see. What other questions do we have here? Okay, Alara Casa is asking, her drinking raw eggs in the morning can cause a bacteria problem or whatever. It could. If there's salmonella on the eggs and stuff, it could make you sick for sure. I've never had that problem, but it could, yeah. How often do I lift heavy? I don't know, I lift heavy all the time, but it depends on how many reps you're talking about, right? So if I do 6 reps, 7 reps, it depends on the body part. I feel more confident doing heavy with like the smaller body parts like chest or biceps or triceps or something. But even then, I only go heavy about once a week, like around the 8 rep range, 6 rep range. And then the other times I'm doing 15 reps or 20 reps, somewhere around there, right? Okay. I think 1 gram per pound of body weight, lean body weight is necessary, Sim 132. You know, around there. 0.5 is low, but you could still grow from that. I think it's possible, but I find that a little bit higher than that is usually better. Yeah. Easy as a guy. Can I make us train the muscles, not the joints, tank top, stringer, and camouflage? There's no stringers on the company that I'm using right now. They're a print-on-demand company. But yeah, maybe I will find something like that in the future. Like, I'm going to be moving. So when I move to the new house, I'll actually have places to probably store clothing and stuff. So I might actually print some stuff off myself. And then rather than using a print-on-demand company, perhaps I'll have something else available in the future, right? Okay. Is the video working, guys? Or is it stuck or what? Are you guys all noticing it? Is it working okay? Okay, Ask Why is asking, do I reckon 15 sets of body part twice a week is a good routine? I think so. 15 sets twice a week should be more than enough to kill. Yeah, it should be more than enough to kill a body part, 15 sets. Because remember, first and foremost, as a bodybuilder, thanks guys, thanks for the feedback there. As a bodybuilder, you are first and foremost not an endurance athlete, okay? Endurance athletes rely on the cardiovascular system, you know, to get their energy, okay? But you're basically trying to be anaerobic. You're not aerobic, right? So when you're doing 20 sets or 15 sets or 10 sets or something like that, you're basically hitting the muscle and using up that creatine cycle system and the ATP and the glycogen. And once that's used up, there's no point in continuing, right? Because if you keep continuing, it's like running. You're starting to become more endurance related, and endurance isn't about strength and power. And strength and power is what builds the muscle the most, right? Okay. Champ Puss is having a conversation with somebody here. Yeah, I don't work abs. Yeah, it's true. I don't work abs that often. I barely ever do. It's not that it's bad. It's just that I really have never noticed much of a benefit. And here's the other thing. It's not that there's not a benefit, because it's just, I'm talking about purely for me, okay? Because you might get a benefit from it. But I found that I need my abs for when I'm going to stabilize the lower back, because I don't wear a belt, or when I'm doing bent over rows or anything, and I suck the abs in, and I actually work them when I'm doing those muscle groups. So curling the stomach and stuff like that. So I've heard some people say this, and I don't even know if it's true or not, but I didn't want to fatigue the abs on one day and then go in and squat one day and then my abs not be strong enough to support the spine or the core. And so I was always very conscious about how much I was using my abs. So I didn't really do a lot of heavy ab workouts or really strong ab workouts, because I found that I didn't want to risk, you know, my lower back kind of being unstable during a heavy squat day, and I wanted to make sure the abs were there supporting it properly, right? Actually, Robo Warrior, I do eat sauerkraut once in a while. I actually do eat that. I like that. It's actually pretty good. Okay, 1 second here. Okay, thoughts on a gallon of milk a day for an ectomorph? Denny the Yegg. Yeah, there's a lot of milk haters out there now. A lot of people hating on milk, hating on a lot of things. And yeah, I never used milk to gain weight, just so you know. That was not something I did. But if that works for you, just the only one way you can really know is to try it out. But milk doesn't necessarily have the best protein, you know, and there's a lot of lactose in there, a lot of sugar and stuff like that. But yeah, try it, I guess. You could try it. But ultimately, you want to make sure you're getting in good quality protein too. You want to make sure you're getting in enough chicken breast, enough meat, enough fish, or egg whites, or whatever it is. And from that, then if you're taking in some extra milk and stuff like that, yeah, it will add some calories for sure. You know, that's what the old school bodybuilders used to do. A lot of the old school guys in the 70s and stuff used to drink lots of milk all the time, right? Yeah, ask why. You're saying, okay, so there's two ways to approach this. He's saying he gets a pump after 4 sets with biceps, and then he can't lift the same weight because his biceps are so pumped after. Should he continue? And I say, yeah, you can. You can still continue until you can't do anymore, until you feel like your arms just aren't able to pull the weight up anymore. That's one thing you can do if you choose to do higher volume that day. But other times you can say, okay, next time I'm just going to do more weight for the first 4 sets, or I'm going to do more reps, right? There's no real right way about it. It's just a matter of, are your arms destroyed enough that by the time you come back around to them, are they recovered? And if not, that means you have to lower the volume. And if they're totally fine the next day, that means you might have to train them a little harder, right? Challenge my brother to a post down. He's not in the shape for a post down right now. He's big and strong, but he's not in shape. There's no way I'm getting him on camera. Yeah, and he's probably watching this right now, and he knows that he's actually been cutting up a little bit. He's been eating a little bit leaner and stuff. But yeah, my brother and I was always more in competitive shape because I was ready for another show, or I was trying to do another show or something like that, where my brother would be busy with school, busy with a lot of other responsibilities, so he wasn't really paying attention to his diet as much, although he was still training, right? So he's strong as hell still, and still's got lots of muscle, and he doesn't have the same type of wreckage of injuries that I have from hockey and everything, so he's actually probably much better than me. Yeah. Thanks, Finn. You're a nice person. Finn Murray. Wow, that's really nice of you. Thank you. Okay, let me see here. Okay, so Ask Why saying he meant he did 11 sets of biceps exercises and then he got a pump and then couldn't do his last 4 sets with the usual weight. That's okay, you just do lighter weight if you want to push. It just depends. I just ask you, are you recovering from your bicep workout? You know? Actually, Finn, I don't play hockey anymore, although I love hockey and I miss it a lot, to tell you the truth. Dennis Encole, what is the best way to lose weight without losing size or muscle? Slowly. That's the best way to lose weight without losing size or muscle, is to lose it slowly. If you try to do it too fast, you will lose muscle at an amazing rate. So, yeah. G Monkey, I don't know what your last comment was. Sorry, there are a lot of comments coming up here, so it's hard for me to see what the ones are. Yeah. Easy as a guy's asking about some people have acid reflux issues during their workouts. How can one prevent that? Well, I know that certain foods might exacerbate that. Sometimes when you basically have fat and carbs put together, that may cause a certain amount of acid reflux too. Ultimately, you do want to get it addressed with a naturopath or something. So if you can actually reset the bacteria in your stomach and get that functioning properly again, then that should help your digestive system quite a bit. But I'm not an expert in that area. I would suggest seeing a naturopath or something and go from there, right? Sometimes foods such as certain types of yogurt, as well as sauerkraut and all that kind of stuff, can help restore that balance of the acidophilus and the bacteria in your stomach too, and may help with the bacterial problem. But sometimes you may have something like H. pylori, and the bottom line is that's a type of bacteria in there that can cause problems and cause ulcers and all that stuff. So sometimes you need to address that, right? I addressed that sort of issue with my stomach years ago with spiritual techniques that I won't talk about here, but my wife is an amazingly talented, energetic spiritual healer and extremely good at what she does. And through work with her and work with meditation practices and stuff, I healed my stomach of any sort of problem it had before, right? Okay. Dryet, you feel like your left arm is lagging behind your right arm in size. That's totally normal. Just know this. Everybody has an inner Hellboy in them, okay? Everybody has one arm that's bigger than the other. My right arm is bigger than my left because of the different injuries and stuff that happened. But I was always about a 1/4 inch difference my whole life. So it is totally normal for one side to be more developed than the other. So don't worry about it. Just keep training and it'll balance itself out as much as possible. And make sure you take care of any sort of neck injuries or impingements or any problems in the muscles and stuff that are feeding the area, so that way it doesn't get extreme, but it's totally normal, right? And I talked about the HIIT training, Mike Mentzer's training system earlier in the video, so just scroll back. So guys, I gotta go get something to eat here. I've been on here for quite a bit, and I'm going to live stream again, so just so you know, and okay, all right, I'll answer one more question. Flash Air I still meditate. I meditate every day. And I talked about how meditation helps, but meditation is just a glorified ability for you to be here and be so deeply here that you pay attention to everything that is here and what's happening. And when you do that, you become better at everything. You become a better scientist, right? You'll become a better bodybuilder. You become a better artist. You'll become better at everything, better in your relationships. So when you're here and you know what's governing you and you know yourself so deeply, you start to also know other people. And that helps everything. So how does it help you in training? You'll start to pay attention to what's happening truly, and by doing so, you'll be able to make better decisions, right? So yeah, that's to answer your question very, very quickly. But yeah, thanks a lot for watching, guys. And I will be tuning in this. I will be doing this again. I'll probably do this again tomorrow. I'll be doing another video and stuff. And thanks to you guys that have contributed to Super Chats. I don't know if any of you guys have or not, but I can't really see on the screen. But in case you have, thanks a lot for supporting the channel. And thanks a lot for subscribing and all that kind of stuff. And make sure you check out my content. Make sure you share my stuff, okay? Because some of you are not sharing my stuff, and it's pissing me off. But you know, hey, thanks for the support. All right, guys. Okay, I'll talk to you later, eh? Thanks a lot, and we'll see if we'll continue this tomorrow. I'll see you again. Okay, bye.